So what's up, folks? We're back again with the third episode of C Plus Podcast. I'm Justin. This is Tate,
Hey,
and here we are again. I mean, we're on a roll. Number three.
hey, that's what we set. Just a little goal each Sunday. Knock it off the list. Even when you're busy, even when you got to figure out, how to make sure you hit that 12 o'clock spot, you just got to figure it out. Like this morning, Angelia started her business, so she's working right now. She teaches yoga in the morning. I would have had Willow this morning, but I took over to her parents' house. They're helping out. So I went over to her yoga spot and did the cold plunge and the infrared sauna. Went on a run this morning, feeling good. So excited to be here once again. And just like we were saying, every Sunday, just got to mark it off when you make those goals. Tons of excuses can come up. You can be like, man, I got this going. But, if there's a will, there's a way. So I always got to say, you got to figure it out.
Hell yeah, and here we are. Yeah, that's a good start to the day, man. A little bit of a cold plunge, at least. I mean, I
Yeah,
know.
cold plunge. That shit's cold, but it wakes you up. Like you just feel, it's raining out here. So woke up this morning and my back's been kind of a little bit fucked up, so I haven't been able to go on my runs and kind of do anything like that. And man, I could just feel like that negativity creeping in. So whatever, floats your boat with making you feel good, I say that is like a major process and major key to make sure that you stick to that to where it makes you feel good and to be able to perform whatever you got to complete.
Yeah, to keep your thoughts clean.
Yes.
I experimented a little bit with cold showers, last summer and the summer before, where I was waking up at 4 a.m. and go straight, you know, that's damn near torture the first few days, you know what I
It
mean?
is.
But
It really
it like resets you, you know what I mean? And definitely wakes you up. Um, but yeah, so cheers to that, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. That's why
that's
I'm
a
having some beer right now myself. Just, got everything done they need to get done, and it just makes you feel good. It just starts the day off better. And that's something, I know we've talked about multiple times, and I'm sure a lot of people struggle with is just like doing the shit that makes you feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
But at the
getting
end of the day, it benefits you because if you just sit back and relax and take it easy, I feel like that still has a shit ton of negatives that comes along with it, even though you're, relaxing in, and it's good to relax, don't get me wrong, but like days and days and like some people or even myself, for the longest you go years without really trying to better yourself or put your mind in a better place or your body in a better place.
Yeah, no, agree 100%. I mean, I suffered from it pretty bad this past summer. 2023 is a tough year for me, just mentally, you know what I mean, as far as the music making goes, the video making goes. So I feel you. I mean, it's easy to slip into that fuck it state. You know what I mean? Fuck it, ain't going out there today. You know,
Oh,
ain't going out there tomorrow either.
right. Yeah, but it's so crazy when it's like that fuck it. It brings so much more negativity, I feel like, inside the mind.
Yeah, even though if
And then
it's
you
not,
break
even though
down.
if it's not immediate, it like
Yeah,
starts to stir. You know what I
starts to
mean?
stir and then you're just watching TV, you sit back, relaxing, like, yeah, it feels good for a little bit, but it definitely eats at me, and I'm sure, everyone's different, of course, but for me, I can't sit still for that long or not be able. I know what we do is a little bit different and, with your music and what I do, but you have to stay busy, I feel like, on that goal to check it off, to feel good. And that's where I'm kind of at now with, you know, from life in general to I'm 29, where I'm at now. I turned 30 this year. It's like those days of just kind of watching time go by. You, I can't do it anymore. Cannot, it's like shit, man. Like
Yeah,
you got to get it going. And I don't know if that's having a kid too that puts you in that state as well. But yeah, man, just gotta keep at it, no matter the pressure and the anxiety that comes along with not doing it, or like, fuck, dude, if I gotta get this done, that means like I have to, you have to spend that extra time. but that's the whole process of starting a business and what we're doing now. You have to start, and in those first probably 5 years, I feel like it's going to be, a difficult situation, but also a fun process to figure out along the way.
Well, yeah, but kind of like what you're saying, I don't think there's going to be much downtime. You know what I mean? Like to sit and
Right.
watch time pass. I think,
Yeah.
like I was kind of telling you, we kind of touched on last week, and I sent you that YouTube video
Hmm.
before. So the last week, so I told you 2024, I want to just shift over basically almost completely to YouTube.
Hmm.
So this past week, I put out 5 videos. Like that's the first time that's ever happened. I did like a mini Moog improvisation I put out last Sunday. The podcast come out late Monday night or Tuesday. Another video come out Wednesday. I did the one with me and Tom Friday,
Hmm.
and then I did another one, I think. So 4 or 5. But man, it was just like, I'll come out here and shoot at night when Megan gets home or early in the morning, and then I'll edit early in the morning, so before anybody gets up. So it's just like my only downtime really is when I go to sleep, when I'm
Right.
completely like not doing anything. And then I could sleep in the next day, but then that's editing that's not going to get done. So I feel like I've hopped on the YouTube train, brand new year, brand new vibe, and I feel like I can't stop now. Like the videos are doing okay, but it's more important to me to like establish a little bit of a routine like I used to have on Instagram. You know what I mean? and,
Absolutely.
and getting into making longer form videos and just seeing what's possible and what I can do that I couldn't do or wouldn't even think about doing with Instagram. So that's kind of why I sent you that video, because just to see what you thought about it, and like the Pinkadelic TV kind of
Hmm.
idea, show a little bit of everything and even more, maybe get into some family stuff, family footage, the pastures, the cows, like the hustle and bustle a little bit, instead of just me playing a beat.
Yeah. Which
So
I
like,
think is so unique, and, a lot of people can relate to it. I know I can, because you always see the music clip of, hey, look at it, it's the process. If it goes viral, or like, man, I feel like you only get to see like a little bit of an artist's life. It's
yeah.
always the good shit. It never shows the bad shit. It never shows the tough days. It never shows, the struggles of how to come up with it or how you put it together, the time that goes into putting a video together. I don't know, we touched bases on this a little while ago before all this, and we were just talking. I was like, even on with me and, managing what I gotta manage, it's like, okay, I know every 2 weeks schedule has to go out. I know certain days that I gotta do this, I gotta do that, even though I don't want to do it. And yeah, it's like, fuck today, but putting yourself in that position to be like, I'm thankful I get to do it. It
Hmm.
makes it go by better. And then I know we talked about that with putting out music, on your Instagram page. So it's really cool to see you jump into the YouTube 2024, putting out those videos and just being consistent and just starting. And really, this is why we started this in the first place, for anyone going through that process of where to start. They always say it's the hardest part is just to start you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
cool to see you do that. And then after that, it's just consistency. I feel like consistency is key. If you hear any professional athlete or any successful person, consistency is the key. That you got to show up the days you don't want to show up. When you're tired, when you don't feel good, when you feel like you can't go any further. It's just like when you tap into the mind to know you got to get it done. It's crazy how powerful the mind can be when it leads you in that direction of putting yourself in that position to be able to put out videos. Be thankful to be able to do this and show people the raw version of yourself. And I think that's the coolest thing. And I think that's what the whole Pink Lady Apple House is, what we want to represent, is to be unique self and set free your inner weird and do you and see where it goes. Everyone starts off with a small name. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all those people, Steve Jobs, they all started out small. They just had to start and stay consistent on the vision and the goal.
I was thinking earlier, what I actually I made a video today to start the new week, and I put it out today. But this idea coming to my mind about like the realities or the reality of being an artist, no matter what it is, if you're a painter or you make arts and crafts or a musician or fucking whatever, you know what I mean? All kind of like you're saying, all the people see is the best work
Hmm.
from that creator. But I think it could be cool and important to show people what the reality is, which is the struggle, which is things not working. You know what I mean? Like you come out here 35 days a week and basically none of that works.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then you get a little kind of you can get a little nugget out of it and post it or do whatever you will with it and just keep moving. Consistency. And I think that's really cool to show, and that's kind of what I've been thinking about. Is like I'm not perfect. Like I don't really know how to play an instrument. I don't even really like my beat making is DIY as fuck. I've did all this myself, but by taking that route, I've kind of got my own sound. So
Right.
though I'm not a master of an instrument, and a master instrumentalist will be able to tell that really easily. What I do have is my own sound and my own vibe happening. So if you look up like the definition of an artist, I'm pretty sure like that's what you're supposed to do is instead of being the best you can be at an instrument or painting or whatever, be the best version of you. Have so much individuality in whatever it is you're doing that is your goal, and not to be the best guitar player there ever was, but
Or
to
to be like Jimi Hendrix in a
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
You know,
let that go.
that's so awesome that you're, speaking on that because we in society we have so many people that are famous and we idolize, want to be like or
Yep,
mimic or anything like that. And if you want to do a beat like Kanye, it's not going to be like Kanye because it's not going to be fulfilling because you're trying to mimic someone else. You're not
exactly.
actually being your authentic self, which I feel like is so important and which I love um, what you do and how you carry yourself as being your own individual artist. That is, I feel like the the top level of being intelligent enough to understand that and be yourself and not afraid to put it out to the rest of the world to be like, hey, no, what they're saying with it's not it. That's facade bullshit. It really
Right,
is. Like
exactly.
this is how I feel, and this is how I feel like there's no criticism or any negative comments that can affect me because I am my authentic self. No one knows you more than you. Your opinion of yourself matters more than someone's opinion of you because that doesn't match your opinion of yourself. So really, I mean, you can have opinions, that's fine, but it's not going to affect me. I'm just going to be my authentic self and put it out and let the world see or the viewers to see. But it's
It,
just doing it and putting it out there. I feel like that's where a lot of people kind of, or I mean, even for me and you, that you kind of put it off because you're like, I don't know if people's going to feel us or feel this. But like I've told you, do it for yourself. Put it out. That made you feel good during that time and during that time period. Put it out. It doesn't matter what other people might think. It made you feel good and you're just showing it. So what the people think, let them think, good or bad.
Amen to that. And I mean, you nailed it on the head. But that's where I think the it requires a certain amount of courage, and you kind of got to have a fuck it state of mind to be in a position to where you're like, hey, like, you know, the worst that's going to happen is nobody's going to see my post or hear my music or like it. That's the absolute worst.
Right.
So what do I have to lose? And if someone does say something negative, which is not often, honestly, you know what I mean? Um, like, who cares? You know what I mean? I mean, like, there's people have negative shit to say about Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? About fucking Taylor Swift or Elvis Presley or Jimi Hendrix. There's somebody that does not like those people and thinks that they're shitty. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's obviously a lot of people that thinks they're great, which is why they're in the position they're in. So I think it requires a certain level of courage to be able to, once you find your individual sound or art or expression, whatever it is, and then having the courage because it's not familiar, right? Like if you try
Right.
to mimic Kanye or Dr. Dre and you put out a beat, the beat can be good and it can remind your friends of, oh, that kind of sounds like a Kanye or that kind of sounds like a Dre beat. You know what I mean? So to you, you kind of did it. To your friends, you're good because your beat sounds like theirs. But when you
Right.
make your own shit, it's a little weird. It's unfamiliar, right? So it
Hmm.
don't sound like Kanye. It don't sound like Dre. So then your friends may be like, eh. But the thing, what's most interesting, and I learned this from free jazz, the most interesting thing is that that is the shit. Like whenever, sure, there's a level where it's just bad. Okay,
Right.
so I know that is a thing, but you can, if you are individual enough, it can sound so different that your friends might not like it. But that's their conditioning. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
me and you grew up listening to the same music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Colby, Josh, Dustin. You know, like we all listen to the same music basically. So anything outside of that sphere, like we may not like it, but that don't mean that the music's bad, right? That just means
Right.
like it's not part of our sphere of conditioning. And
Right.
whenever I heard that Ornette Coleman record, that when I first heard free jazz, I remember I was just so hungry to hear something creative and like satisfy my brain. And you know how hard I was into Jimi Hendrix and all that. And I remember hearing that Ornette Coleman. I'll send it to you. You
Yeah.
won't
Yes.
enjoy it. You won't enjoy it, but at least listen to just a little bit of it. But when I heard it, dude, I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, I cannot tolerate this." You know what I mean?
Right.
So I listened to maybe a minute and 30 seconds of it, and then cut it, and then didn't listen to it again for like a month. And then I come back to it, and I was like this guy changed music forever. Ornette Coleman. I mean, like he's like it's crazy. So I was like, there's got to be something I'm not getting. You know what I mean? So I went back,
Hmm.
I gave it another listen, and then it was like almost another born again experience. Like the light bulb went off. I was like, oh, so they're not trying to play on beat and play in key and everything be perfect. They're just
Right.
like letting themselves go together. And just it sounds like noise at first, but then when you get that, it's like an abstract painting, but with instruments
Right.
and like nobody's doing anything wrong. They're just like letting their inner child, the universe, God, nature, whatever you want to call it, they're letting it come through them and whatever instrument they're playing, whether it's horn or drums or guitar, bass, and it's just like, holy fuck, dude, this is like groundbreaking, the most creative,
Right.
expressive thing I have ever heard. When I used to think Jimi Hendrix was the most creative and expressive musician I'd ever heard. And this just like kind of like the LSD, like this updated my firmware, and then
Okay.
it kind of made clear to me what's possible. But coming back to what I was saying, me and you grew up listening to the same music, so when I heard it at first, I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like I
Right. Yeah.
I cannot enjoy that, you know. But after I understood it, I was able to enjoy it. So I think that's where the courage so Ornette had to have the courage back then because no one was doing that shit. You know, to go to a club where you got judged on how good you were, how tight
Right.
your chops were, and how you know what you could do. And he goes in there and fucks everything up, playing all the wrong notes, playing off rhythm. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, it's remarkable, dude. So that like that changed my creative mind. It updated my firmware, and then I was able to see like, hey, dude, you can literally do whatever you want to do as long as you I feel as long as you mean it and
Right.
it comes from your heart, you know what I mean, and you mean it and you live it. I feel like there is no limit, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. No, and I feel like when you, I remember from when you starting out making beats and what you were saying, like you gotta be in this, the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus, this
Yeah,
beat,
yeah,
everything on rhythm. I feel like starting out from that point and what you just said, how you found the avant-garde and how that kind of loaded your software again, kind of like the LSD, the whole mind change up. I feel like you doing that and experience that expanded your 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 music career over the time because you've been doing it for so long. But I feel
yeah.
like if you stuck to everything will be on in the struggles that you went with outside of music. I feel like it maybe you wouldn't have continued music until
Exactly.
now, to where I feel like you see that and you have so much more knowledge of that, and just being your unique self, letting go, having fun with that, like you said, having like it's like a creative therapy of just no boundaries. There's no limits. Just fucking do it. Have fun while you do it. And I feel like, and you'll know this more than me, but I feel like that helps you go into making it be to the ones who are conditioned to enjoy a beat or a sound
Something
or just
consistent,
something consistent, to
easy to
where
follow.
it's easy to follow, it's sick, it's cool, but it's unique. And some of the stuff you've already put out, like you've already seen it be unique, but people fucking dig it. Like that viral video that happened on your Instagram, like
Yeah.
the 3 point whatever million, all that. I mean, think about it. How much music and everything you did before that even happened? It's crazy to think about, but it happened because you're unique self. You went in there with no boundaries and you just fucking laid something down, and people fucking dug it. And there's nothing no fucking cooler than that.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Well, I mean, I appreciate that, and I gotta say, um, I went, I started making beats, and then I learned some instruments, and then I did the free jazz there for a while. And I remember you and Dad telling me both, like the same summer, it seems like, that I should take what I learned from the free jazz, the avant-garde, and then go back to making beats. Because I went like 2 or 3 years and didn't make a beat, maybe even longer than 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's
And,
quite some
and
time. Yeah,
yeah, and did not make a beat at all. I didn't have anything to make a beat with, you know, because I went into guitar and learned a good bit of guitar and got decent. And then I started fucking around with saxophone, got okay with that. But yeah, you and Dad both said maybe you should come back to the beat making and apply what you've learned. And I did that. And that's when I noticed things started to change a little bit, and that's when I got into a routine of posting. Like I would just make whatever. I would come out here and just make the most out unrelatable music I could possibly do. I was just forcing shit.
right,
Um, and posting religiously just because I could. I started on my phone. I would just come out here and make a little something, put my phone up, bam, post it like no sweat. And then just over the years, I refined it, reeled some of the
right,
weirdness in, you know what I mean? So where you can make it a little more relatable, like you're saying, and just working on my sound. And after years and years and years, and I was able to, get to where I am now, I guess, to where people can really connect. But yeah, it just kind of going along the theme of what we're talking about, just expanding, being an artist, and just like knowing what goes into it, and that it's not all like every time you come in here and sit down that you're not making something fucking amazing. It's
right.
really it to the regular person. If there was a regular person sitting here, they're gonna be like, dude, you suck. Like, I can't believe you're fucking,
Yeah,
anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reality, and I think it's cool coming back to the YouTube thing to just try to show a little more and be vulnerable. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I'm human, so I know all the other creators are human. They just probably don't show much mistakes, which is cool. I get not wanting to do that.
Absolutely.
But I think that's good and would be good for people that are like us and like me and where I was when I was in my early 20s. And I think it's cool with our brand, like Pink Lady Apple House, Free Your Inner Weird.
Absolutely.
And when you do it, it like the creative therapy, like it doesn't matter your skill level, which is the coolest thing
Right,
about it. Like if you wanted to buy a drum set and just like set Free Your Inner Weird, you can go get a drum set and you can begin immediately. But if you want to go get a drum set and you want to join a band, a
right,
jazz band or whatever, you're going to have to work for a little while, some
right.
years before you're competent to go sit in and play in a real live setting or with real cats.
And I think that's so cool about our brand is that you're allowing, and what we're representing, you're allowing that person that's never picked up a drum set, that's never got a pen and a pencil and wrote down some lyrics. Set Free Your Inner Weird is just doing it. When you have that feeling of, even like me from back in the day, sitting down writing, like the thing I sent you the other night, that was just long ago, but that was also relatable to like what we're representing now with the Pink Lady Apple House and Pinkadelic and everything else, is just letting free your inner weird. set it free. Like, but you have to start. And I feel like that's the hardest part. Man, I can't write anything. It ain't fucking Eminem. It's like, right, like if you pick up a drum set, go buy a drum kit. Well, I'm no Travis Barker, dude. I've never even took lessons. Like, why would I even go spend $100 on it? Like, where is that going to take me? But I
Yep.
feel like that's the most harmful way of thinking, because what if you just went and did it and you started playing it more and more and more, back to the consistency, being consistent, and then you turn out and you could be like Travis Barker, not him, but be good,
Your own version,
your own version of it, but it's just starting out. Because I feel like for anything, like even when we came up, started working on the hats and everything else, I'm like, "Man, what the hell?" Like, I feel like every human experiences, but I'm like, what the fuck do I know about it? I know nothing. I've never designed a hat. I don't know where the fuck to start. Like, you go through that process and it's so easy to be like, God, fuck it. I'm not going to do it. Like, it's too much. But I feel like if you really just hone in and see, like, what made me think of that and what can I do, I feel like it starts to come to you, as where we went through those mistakes on the branding, on what we wanted to be, kind of the vision of it, which is fine because it came being consistent. Once again, this came as an idea and it came back to us in the form of reality of our design. But yeah, I had no idea what to do or how to go about it. You know more than anyone the struggles and processes of starting, and then you start to gain a little bit more knowledge and kind of some doors open that you didn't think would open. But it's weird, just when you think about it and stay consistent and it's on your mind, some little secret doors get popped open for you when you're looking. Every opportunity, I feel like, is there. You just got to be looking for that opportunity. And then we found um, the supplier, got what we got. Still kind of going through that with some more stuff, but it's just setting free your inner weird and just starting now. I feel like it's what the Pink Lady Apple House represents, and you represent it so well.
It's just so cool that it's coming together, and like our message, set for your inner weird, again, just, I mean, you nailed it on the head. That's what it is. Just letting people know, like, we got your back. We are in your shoes. We know what it's like
Absolutely.
to not know what you're doing,
Yeah.
but still do it anyways. That's
Right.
exactly what I'm doing. Like, if freaking Lil Wayne come over to my studio here, I feel like I'd be like, bro, like, I just, like, really, I'm
Buckle
just
up.
pushing.
Here we go.
I'm just
Yeah.
pushing buttons, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pushing buttons and turning knobs, and then occasionally I get something that's like, fuck yeah. So,
Right.
I think, again, though, you got to really test your courage, because that's where what you were saying earlier about, I don't know how to do, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who am I to do this? Who am I to think I
Yeah.
can do something? So that's where you need a little bit of courage to just, like, shut that voice up, silence that voice, and just take that step, no matter what
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it does not have to be artistic, but if you want to freaking ride a dirt bike or a bike or a skateboard or a bicycle or whatever, just fucking do it. And
Right.
like I tell Marley, she played basketball. She tried out basketball last year and she kind of liked it, but she wasn't, like, crazy about it. But
Right.
when she would go to some games, like, she wouldn't do that good. And she wanted to know, like, why this girl or that girl was better. And I basically told her, you know, you gotta like really want it. You know what I mean? You gotta
Hmm.
want it so much that you're willing to practice outside of practice. You know what I
Right.
mean? After the school day, after the practice they have at school, you have to want to come home, and you have to want to. I can't make you a great basketball player. You have to want to do it and want to do it. So then you do it, and you'll suck this week. You're going to suck next week, but it will be a little less than it was this past week. And
Right.
then next
Absolutely.
month, you're still going to not be that great, but you're going to be a whole, like, several
A
steps ahead
level
of
ahead. Yes. Absolutely.
exactly. So that's just how it works. But to be willing to go through that shit and that slow progression, you have to be passionate and you have to have some courage. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's where I feel you have to check yourself as a person. And if you're a person that wants to make things happen and do things, and I feel like that's required. I feel like as long as you have those two things, three, and consistency, those three things, that you can really do whatever. And, like, talent, sure, some people are talented at this and that, but like Ricky Carmichael said, you know what I mean? He talked about how James Stewart was talented and Ricky was not as good as him, but Ricky put in the work, so
Right.
he was
Absolutely.
actually better than him. And now statistically, you know, right? Ricky's the greatest of all time.
Right. Absolutely.
Even though we know what Stewart did, we watched Stewart on TV and he was a badass. Like there's no
Right. Yeah.
denying that.
No.
But
Yeah.
Ricky was better, even though this one down here is the more talented.
Right.
So
Absolutely. And
so
that's a good way of putting it.
yeah, I just throw the talent thing like out the fucking window. Like what I do on the drums, what I do on the keyboards, the beats. That's just from consistency. I would not even say I'm good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm confident in my art and what I can
Right.
make, but I'm not going to go out here and be like I'm one of the best beat makers on the planet. I'm one of the baddest motherfuckers.
Right.
Yeah,
But I
you know
feel
what I
like
mean?
that gives you so much freedom to one day be here, next 5 years here, to where you could be like, yeah, I am one of the best beat makers out there because it gave
Exactly.
me the freedom to know that, like, hey, I'm me. But I know in time, I mean, think about how far you've came now back to first beat making to where you are now. Just like you were saying with Marley, just like, hey, you're gonna suck at first. Anything you start new, you're gonna suck. But it's that courage to show yourself vulnerable here. But then the next month you're here, and then the next month you're here, next month you're here, and before you know it, you have your craft down to a T. And then you just continue to build off of that craft. That's why I love Kobe Bryant from back in the day. Like, he was so talented, so worked so hard, but he got to that level, he didn't slack off. And I feel like that's when a lot of people get famous, or they get to that status to where, of course, you have the money, you got the fame, you got what it was. But I
You
feel like to
made
go
it.
to that next level, you have to keep putting in that work. You have to grind just as you didn't have it. And I feel like that's that from Ricky Carmichael to James Stewart, to Kobe Bryant, or to some regular guy in the NBA that I'm sure we can turn on the TV now and go, I have no idea who the fuck that is. No, I don't watch a lot of NBA, but still, like, there's that difference. And I feel like being consistent and, like you were saying, be passionate about what you're doing to where you go to practice, but then when you come home, you're still practicing.
Like
When you wake up, yeah,
you eat, sleep, and breathe it. You know what I mean? And like that's why I wore the Lakers hat. I'm not an NBA fan at all. I get checked all the time out in public, and I'll straight up tell them I'm a poser. But
hmm
the reason why I wear the hat is because of Kobe's work ethic. And I've seen so many
right,
videos, Kobe interviews, other players talking about him and his work ethic, and I'm just like, man, like that is why. And Michael Jordan also had a similar work ethic. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And that's why they're different. You know what I'm saying? There's several great NBA stars. You know, I'm sure that played well. You know, like Dennis Rodman, was it Scottie Pippen? You know, all those guys that played with Michael
hmm
Jordan. I'm sure they were bad motherfuckers. You know what I mean? But Michael was extra. But
Right.
it probably wasn't a talent thing. And you know that story. I don't know if you heard that story that Michael Jordan got cut from his high school
High
team.
school team, yeah.
Yeah, and the teacher or the coach. I don't know if he said something like you're not. I don't remember what it was, but I know he got cut. So like that's it. Michael could have been like, yeah, you know, he's right.
He's right. Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I
I'm no
mean?
good. You're right.
Yeah, but he just went on, and then he learned that work ethic shit that like Ricky Carmichael knows, and then it's like you do that, and then you just outshine the rest, even though the rest are great.
What was it
You know
Napoleon
what I
Hill
mean?
said? With persistence, failure cannot succeed. Just being persistent on everything, there's no room for failure when you're persistent. You're consistent.
Yep,
Everything with that, failure goes out the window. So it doesn't matter if you're bad right now at the moment. I mean, even when I first started my career, I had no management experience, I had no retail experience, I had absolutely no experience whatsoever. But what I did have is the courage to move across country. What I did have is the belief in
courage,
myself, and what I did do my studies on what I knew I was capable of doing. And then even to this day, to where we are now and how much it's grown over the years, you have to be consistent. And that's with anything that you do. It doesn't matter if you want to be a basketball player or if you want to work at Subway and be the best fucking, you know, making sandwiches. Like, there's still an art to that. You just got to want to be good at it. It's not just a paycheck. You got to kind of have that little extra, as Napoleon Hill said, you got to do more than what you're paid for. And I feel like that goes a very long way. And it simplifies it is just not saying like you're working overtime or you're doing, you know, you'll do whatever, you'll go work for free or, you know, whatever it may be. Just doing more than what you're paid for is that, like you're saying, like when you come home from practice, do a little extra, or you come home from work, that thing you want to do, focus on it. It's not everybody doesn't want to come home and work on themselves after they work for someone else. You're just, I think I forgot who said it, but you're just not inspired. You're not tired, you're just not inspired because you just work for someone else making them money and you made a little bit of money. But if you just took that extra step to what we're doing, it I feel like in the future it will all work out because we're doing all the right steps, even at square where we are at square one.
Yeah, well, I feel like failure is only real and only a reality whenever you quit, when you stop.
Absolutely.
So I feel like kind of like you said, you had the courage to move out there, but you were passionate about it,
Right.
and then you went out there and you were doing whatever you had to do so you could find the job you wanted, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then through consistency and still being passionate, you've made it to where you are now. So it's like, I mean, all the stuff is there, and yeah, I think as long as you just like put one foot in front of the other, things will become like Napoleon Hill said, and I feel like this is kind of what you and I are doing right now, is hypnotic rhythm.
Right.
It works in the positive and the negative. So like the podcast, the products, what we're working on, we're linking up every Sunday, making this podcast happen. We're slowly creating a new rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yes. Hmm.
And getting in it, and then it will be locked in it, and then that's how the progress I think happens. Um, just like me in the music, you with your job. I think that's what it is the hypnotic rhythm taking over. But if you just let go, you know, you can be all
It can
over the
be.
place. But because it's gonna create a rhythm out of whatever it is, whatever headspace, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're talking about, it's gonna create that reality for you. So I feel
Absolutely.
like me and you are like practicing right now. Like I was telling Marley to do the extra stuff
Right.
outside of practice. So I feel like we're doing that right now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Because like
yeah.
like when you work a long week or okay, wait, we'll put it in just to this um, little fact, like it's the weekend, it's Sunday. We've already worked 5 days. It's Saturday, Sunday. You really don't want to sit down and talk and do that. You want to relax. Like you got clothes you got to go do, or you can go out and about and go do that. But we're sitting down, making sure we're doing this every Sunday. Just like when I was looking for the hats, or even with the boxes and everything. Now, like every day, I would come home from work, see the family, Angeli and Willow, hang out with them, of course. But after dinner, like I got back on the computer. I started talking to more people, starting like that, to where I felt like my older self um, would have just chilled out or the weekend, like, nah, I'm not doing it. It's my free time. And I feel like on the weekend, don't get so drunk or to escape your reality. That's when you really work on the reality you want. Like that Saturday, Sunday, or whatever 2 days you have off. Don't
Right,
let
right.
that be your recovery relaxation. Not saying there's nothing wrong with relaxing and hanging out and enjoying yourself, but every 2 days you have off, just don't let it be your escape from your reality. I feel like try to make decisions on like creating your new reality instead of escaping your new reality.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But again, that's going to come back to whoever you are being like how bad you want that to be
Right, absolutely.
your new reality, and like how many people may just like have an idea that, oh, that would be cool if I could do this, or I could try that, or we could do this, but that's going to cost too much money, or that's going to take too much time, or like you were saying earlier, who am I to think I can ride a skateboard at
Right.
33 years old? You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's that voice. But that's where you got to check yourself. I mean, and just see, like, I mean, well, if you're happy, if you don't want to put in the extra work to get to where you want to be, then you deserve what you got and where you are, and that's just what it's going to be.
That's
Because
just the reality of it.
you have to continuously work on yourself, whether it's physically and well, you should work on yourself physically and also mentally. Like I mentioned in the last episode, um, is keeping your mind clean. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
by which what I mean is trying not to let your mind dip into the negative, this bill or that bill or this is coming up or that happened, and going down into that. And then just when you go into that negative thought, it branches off to this, which branches off to that. Before you know it, like you're actually like mad.
Right. Yeah.
And like your brain did it. And then you will treat those around you like badly, but they've not even did anything to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so that's where you got to choose the other route, the positive route, to keep your mind on things that keep you feeling good and keep you inspired, and gratitude, or thinking about your vision, or planning, and plotting. But like I said, it's so hard to keep your mind there. So it's a lot of work. It's just like it's a lot of work to maintain your body. Like we keep, like, I think it's a good analogy, because like when we were racing, like you want to be healthy, be fit, not necessarily jacked, but just be feeling good. Like you got to
Right.
put some work in to keep your body feeling good. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Absolutely.
you just can't go to the gym one day, like we talked
No.
about, and be where you need to be. You got to stick with it. So that is a discipline. So it's just the same exact thing with your mind. You got to fucking, like,
You
you
got to
got to
work
meet
it out.
you
You got to
yeah you
visit it.
got to you
You
got to
know.
mean business about whatever it is you're after. Or I mean, and whatever you're after could be whatever. Like it don't have to be, like, it could be a significant other. It could be a better life for your kids. It could be a job. It could be an idea. The iPhone was just an idea in Steve Jobs' mind. You know what I'm saying? And now, like, I would say, there may be like 9 or 10 people on the planet that have Androids.
Right. Yeah. It's very small amount.
you,
But
you
if
know,
he would
you
have
know.
had that idea and told all of his friends and family about it, they'd have been like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah,
You're like,
ex-
what? Like, no, no, no. But I
yeah,
feel like that's so important too when you do have those big ideas or you do have inspirations to kind of go after whatever you're thinking about or dreaming about. I feel like you got to kind of keep it to yourself a little bit. And I feel
indeed.
like me and
Yep.
you talked about it. Like sometimes, unfortunately, home is where the hate is. That's
Yeah,
just the way it
exactly.
goes. But I feel like if you keep that to yourself and continue to work on it and don't judge yourself and give yourself a little bit of break and a little bit of time to see where you can go, that's the gift you can give yourself. But you just got to give yourself a vision. If you don't have a vision, then I feel like it's hard to start. You got to have that vision.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like Steve Jobs had, he started to find a small group of people that would share his vision and help him do things, that he couldn't physically do. But there was people that believed the same thing he believed. Like, you just couldn't have an idea like that and go tell your mom and dad,
Right. And they're
or
like,
or
yeah,
or,
we'll invest.
or your occasional drinking buddy or something. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna be
Right.
like, nah, what? Do
No, but what,
you,
bro?
yeah, you're gonna make a phone, like a phone that you can touch.
Like, no,
Uh,
get out of
uh,
here, man. Like, we're here on the tailgate drinking some beer, dog. What are you
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about? You know what, bro?
exactly. But I mean, too, it takes, just like we just keep saying, like, it just takes, you got to be serious about it, no matter what it is. Like Steve
Absolutely.
Jobs obviously was possessed by creating the way he saw fit, and he was obviously an asshole about it. And sometimes I think that's the way you got to be. But when you get to a certain level, maybe,
Right.
not
Absolutely.
not at the ground level, but yeah, that's just the way it is. And that's why I don't really have anything to do with really anybody outside of my wife and kids and my mom and dad, and you, and I got another friend, Graham, but outside of that, like, I don't really surround myself with really anybody.
I'm
I'm
kind of the
real
same
real
way.
private, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, super private, work, coworkers and, really having someone to where I get to talk about stuff like this. I really don't have that. So I have you for my creative outlet to work together with you and really get to experience that peace and harmony and the Mastermind Alliance with that and working at it and continuing to work at it and then just also getting to experience um, the cooperation of this, and then also I'll go back to the harmony of it. I feel like that's what's so cool about it. It's never forced. It's never like, fuck, Tate's calling, or oh, fuck, Justin wants to do this podcast. Like it's something we both want to do, and we get to experience that in harmony. And I might have touched about it in the other episodes, but like that's how Mother Nature works is in harmony. She's never out of sync. It doesn't matter. She's always, yeah, winter's hard, but you know, you got springtime, that stuff comes to life. She's always in harmony. The animals that, you know, live off of her are in harmony with the universe and the earth
Exactly.
itself. And I feel like we're also a part of the universe and earth ourselves. So we have to be in harmony in some type of way. I feel like when you're out of that harmony, and you might not be able to feel it, but I feel like some people are just a little bit more special on the end where you feel it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that kind of feel like, man, something's off with this place. And I feel like so many people's thoughts are running and through the ether and just out of harmony. And if you surround yourself with some of those people, it really can just hinder your positive thinking or want to get into harmony or setting free your inner weird and starting something, but you're too afraid to express it that you have to be alone. And you can't do this shit alone. You can go to a certain point of being alone, but you gotta have some cooperation and a good person and a friend to be able to talk about this stuff and to be able to go through life and be like, yeah, man, fucking life sucks sometimes. Yeah, it's fucking tough. But
Yeah.
like, hey, I've experienced this. And like, hey, well, I've experienced this, but we fucking are here on the other side because we just didn't give up. We went through it, took it day by day, step by step, and we come out of it. It's not always rainbows and sunshine. I mean, rainbows and sunshine. You got to have that storm before the rainbow comes out. And you're going to go through it. That's just part of it. But sticking to it and then believing in the outcome, not seeing it's a hard fucking thing to do. I kind of look at life like a GPS. If everybody had a life direction of where you're going to be, I feel like you would see so many more millionaires out there because they know where they're going. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, life does not give you a fucking GPS direction of starting something like you're going to end up here. You will be successful. You will be $2.5 million richer in 1,000 hours,
Eh,
32
eh,
seconds, you know, or minutes, whatever. I fucked that all up, but you know what I mean by what
No,
I'm
no,
saying with
yeah,
that,
no,
you
I
know.
follow 100%. Yeah,
Um,
that would be cool, and that'd be reaffirming. Be like, all right, well, look, today sucks, but look, like in
but yeah,
10,000 hours,
me and Justin at this, we keep going on this podcast every Sunday. By 2028, we'll be like fucking Joe Rogan, baby. We'll be here. We'll be like, hell yeah, we're on this motherfucker. But we don't know, and that's
yeah,
okay. But we believe in ourselves to where we're going to go, and what hopefully we're helping people to understand and maybe to also help start something or setting free your inner weird or just being your unique self. Just start and go with it. And we're right here in the same shoes as you're watching right now. We are just starting and but we're going to stick to it and be consistent with it. I feel like that's the cool thing of showing people, hey, we're in the same boat y'all are in. It's just the
ex
only thing is just doing, sticking with it.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's what's so cool about the Pink Lady Apple House, setting free your inner weird, is that we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you know, we Tate and I are base level. We're just I think the one thing we're doing is like we've been talking about this whole episode. We're passionate. We have the courage to do it, the fuck itness, and consistency. So
Absolutely.
I
And then
think
we'll see where it goes.
exactly, and like you're talking about the mastermind alliance, like like just having someone like you don't talk to every day or anything like that, but like we're working towards the same thing,
Right. Absolutely.
and you excel in an area that I do not, and I'm
Same thing
still
where
like,
you excel in an area that I do not, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but
So
it takes both of us.
that's how it works. Just like Steve
Absolutely.
Jobs, he couldn't do all that shit himself. He had the idea, so he put people together to make it to bring it into reality. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Absolutely. Being consistent and having passion and following your vision is really what we're about and continuing to go and see where it takes us, no matter how far away we are. Sometimes I feel like you just got to look at how far you came. And I feel like from me and you, from the past, from all the way back in Thomasville, from Larry's in the studio to where we are right now, I feel like the knowledge and wisdom has grown so much in us to where it's the perfect timing. And, we'll see what happens. Time will tell, but I feel like sticking to the goal and the vision, I feel like success has to be the end mark, never the checker flag, because there's always more to continue
more
going.
to go. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think all there is to it. I mean, this is oversimplification, but it's just not quitting. You know what I mean? Like the podcast. Like this will be something easy to quit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
like just not quitting and keeping this whole thing. I think YouTube is where it's at. You know what I mean? And just keeping this whole thing going. Like even
Well,
though
if
it's
you look
slow,
at it,
you know.
look where your Instagram, the foundation, has built you to be able to go to YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
just like you was touching previously, of just like putting out video after video. Like when the Pink Lady Apple House first went onto Instagram, how many followers did you have at that time?
I had zero. Well,
See,
I
there
created
you
an account.
go. And
I
then
had
now
zero.
look where you are with that. And it's right
Yep,
there's a prime example for people to catch on and see. Like you could have been easily been like the Pink Lady Apple House. Like, who am I to think I could start this? But
exactly.
just doing it, look where it leads, and to new adventures that we're doing now and together that we had with back in the day with Bad Kid when we were 14 and 15, you know?
We've always been dreamers. You know what I mean? We've always been little idea cooking motherfuckers. I
And I feel
remember,
like, yeah, go
yeah, I
ahead, sir.
remember being back in my bedroom there, and like I said, you'd be playing a little bit of Call of Duty, and I remember I had a laptop, and we went and bought a machine.
Hmm.
You remember?
Yeah, the
And I
machine, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, had the colorful pads, and I'd be sitting there on my bed, like just trying to figure this out. You're sitting there gaming and shit, and we did that like almost. I feel like every day. I obviously played Call of Duty too, and we got down, but yeah, that's where it all started in the basement. And then I remember going to Larry's, and I remember that one beat we made that it was so good that Heidi was like, she was like, "Y'all made that? You remember that?"
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all that stuff is well, it's on that computer that's broken, but it's pretty much as of today, it's gone. But if Robbie said there was something we could do with that thing to
That'd be
get
cool to like
all the memory out.
whatever how like get the memory out to like one day show people, just like
And,
where we were at those times
yeah,
because it was so fun.
and I'll tell you this. Like I said last weekend, the Grams were over here, and Megan pulled out. She said it gets stuck in her head. The "Do Your Homework" girl,
Hmm.
and Justin and Ashley. They were like that. They were really feeling that shit. Do your homework, girl, and pass that. Do your
That was so
homework.
catchy.
Do your homework so you can pass that and you can let it work. And you open up, you was like a sprig of nation smoking medication. I said, fuck
So
this station. Yeah, I mean, you're rolling on it. And then do the verse. The verse, I got to give it to you. Let's see. Let's see. Do your homework, motherfucker. Drink your rum. Your body go numb. Stupid. Yeah, I know I'm dumb. Fuck it. I might play the drum.
oh man,
I
I
was like,
forgot
bro,
about
like,
that.
yeah, I mean, you stuck that shit. But what I was thinking, it would be cool to like that's something. Bring that back. We could cut out that verse and just like copy the empty verses, and that could really. I mean, that's a pretty. It's silly, but it's a cool kind of silly. I think
But
you
it's
know what I
like
mean.
our like silly to where we were in those times.
And
I
it
feel
goes right
like
along with the C
uh,
plus vibe.
right, just of always having ideas and always being us. And yeah, we might not have done good in school. Yeah, we might not have been, I guess, perfect in that sense of school knowledge, which is fine. Like, like, yeah, my mom got let me get homeschooled, but I love her to death. Like, she always put her best interest into me, like as a man,
Yep,
and
yep,
my
same.
integrity and who I am as a person. Just because she might not have looked at a certain area with that, she still instilled so much great shit in my personality and my characteristics today to who I am now. And school is not for everyone. We know that. So yeah, we might not have fucking been the best educated 4.0 GPA students, but like we still have our minds and we can still think and we can still create and be who we are without saying that, yeah, I went to a 4-year university and I have this degree. So cool, because when I talked to Tyler when he went to ECU, when you get a 4-year degree, you only spend a year and a half on the shit that you're going to go do as your job. I was blown away by that. He was like, all the other shit is just unnecessary shit for them to be like, okay, they can retain this information, they can show up to class, they can do this. But you went 4 years and then like they only teach you a year and a half of what you actually are going like at what is actually your profession. Once again, I'm not hating on school, but also don't judge a person because they might have been homeschooled or they might
R-
not have excelled in school.
Right, right.
Don't
Like
judge a book by its cover until you get
exactly,
to reading. And a lot of people
exactly,
don't like reading; they just judge the book cover because a lot
precisely.
of
Yeah,
good shit is in the book. But unfortunately, a lot of people's too lazy to read inside the book to understand that fuck, this book has some information. And I feel like me and you have some information. Maybe to the people who know us, it's like this motherfucker, like they were homeschooled. Like they, like what do you mean? Like they don't know
they don't know.
shit. They
Yeah.
don't know shit. But start to read inside our book, you might find a little bit of knowledge that we found in other books that help create or help shape our minds to be the way they are.
And like we're putting it, the stuff we're putting out into the world right now, like even though we didn't like graduate high school, we're not goat herders.
No, and my dad didn't graduate high school either, but
Yeah,
he made a successful living. Like he
yeah,
killed it. He supported me through racing, everything. I got to have a great life, but he didn't graduate either. But you know what
yeah. I
he
mean,
did have? He had work ethic.
he's
Like,
doing fine.
doing fine, just like your dad
Yeah.
has work ethic. It doesn't matter if they got a college degree. Work ethic will over like that talent thing, and then the hard work, same kind of relationship that those both carry.
Two, I feel like a lot of people are forced into college without having time to find themselves because you go to school, you graduate 12th grade, and then some people's parents cannot really give them a chance to find who they are. So maybe they go to a university or four-year school, whatever, just because they feel the pressure. They're still a kid. They don't want to let their parents down, and they
Right,
think this is the right thing to do. So then they're there studying something they're not even passionate about. Before you know it, they're out of the university, and then they got to get a job, and then they buy that house or get married, do all the American dream stuff, and then 30s, 40s. I mean, we're not in the 40s yet. You're about to hit the 30s. Like then you might start wondering, be like, man, like I'm not that like
right,
satisfied, and now you don't really. Now is kind of where it comes back to all the shit we've been talking about. Now, if you have a dream or you're starting to find stuff out about yourself, or maybe I'm into this or maybe I'm into that, that's when it's going to take the extra stress and extra shit to make it happen because you've been sucked into this thing, this American dream thing, by no fault of your own. I mean, that's just
right.
like what you do, and your parents are trying to do what they think's best. So it's just really it's just the state of thought, I think, in America,
Absolutely.
in America, that you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to go to a college, you're supposed to get that job, and that's all well and fine, just like you're saying. And I know there's people that go to college that are passionate about something, that want
Right,
to go,
absolutely.
they want to go into the medical field or the scientific field or
Or be a
sports,
lawyer or
or
a law. Yeah, you
yeah,
know,
or sports. I mean, so I'm not hating on that, but I feel
absolutely
like
not.
there are maybe more that are there because they're just there. You
Right,
know what I mean? And because
absolutely.
their parents forced them there, or they're there because they think they should be there. And so yeah, so the route you and I have chosen, we weren't forced into, and like you said, our parents supported us and had our backs, but they did it in different ways. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
absolutely.
we did go through, even though we joked a lot about it, we did make it through eighth grade. You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah, we did
it's not
that.
like
I
it's
made
not
it
like
through. I made it through. I did algebra. Okay, I got the basics of some shit.
yeah,
Know,
yeah, so,
I'm
yeah.
good. Like history, all that. Like, yeah, but I'll keep that to myself. But yeah, it's like
We're
it's
not
not
we're not goat herders, you know.
right. But it's like also like I feel like in America, there's so many people that love to judge and have a comment or throw in there. If you're just even on Instagram or
Yeah.
even our page or whatever, there's so many comments of what people say. And speaking of like coming from the motocross industry, like with Jeremy Martin getting hurt, it's like I saw the comments like, dude, how many times you gonna get hurt, bro? How many times you gonna race a Supercross race? How many times
Yeah.
have you went through the whoops? Why are you hating on him? Austin Fortner, the same thing. Oh, dude, like your career, like so much hate going to somebody doing something that they enjoy and they're passionate about. And when you
Mhm.
see them fail, it's one thing I can't wrap my head around is how people love to judge and throw more, like when they're down, they're just kicking them. It's throwing more negative comments. But I feel like you got to be in that mindset, which you can see to where those guys or people or humans who or on a path, they really don't care about what the fuck you say negatively. So why the fuck
Yeah,
even put it out there? So the universe, to for me, that kid who made that comment, now I look at you like, what a stupid fuck. You know,
yeah,
like why even put a comment out like that? That like how many Supercross races have you done? None. How many beats have you made? None. How many hats or the companies have you tried to design and brand and put out there? None. It's always crazy how you'll always be criticized by the ones who do less than you. It's
indeed.
never the other way around. And I think that is so fucking crazy to see. And I'm not educated, but I'm sure maybe half of those people who leave those comments got a 4-year degree somewhere, you
Exactly.
know. So
But goat
it's
herd,
funny. Like, yeah, I always like to
but
laugh at that shit.
yeah, but goat herders are out here making it happen.
Yeah, yeah, the stupid ones, the non-educated, low-life bums, But but I also think it's like to where like me and you, we could have really took that. It could have set us up for failure, but we never let it set us up for failure because from the homeschooling to racing, it put work ethic in like in our DNA to where if you want to be good at it, back to like Marley playing basketball, you have to practice. You cannot, and that's no matter what you do. And I feel like that gives you a life skill that lives on forever from racing and being homeschooled and what we've done. It gives you a life lesson that school cannot teach at
Yeah,
all. It can never be applied in school at all because I went to ninth grade and I never seen it through first through ninth. I know a lot of people that were very educated and went to college and all that never learned that either.
yeah, and I would say too something that heavily influenced us would be our dads and their experience and
Absolutely.
their ethic and creating businesses of their own and being very successful. So that's that's something to also see, even though they do stuff that we might not want to do.
Blue
Yeah,
collar, but they are happy
yeah,
doing it.
exactly.
We're just taking that and making it to a new era of work. We
But
have the internet.
they
Yes,
created their own things and made their
yes.
own jobs. So I think that too, along with the motocross and the homeschooling, the reading,
And then
ex,
also
ex,
working in other jobs to where it's physical labor, to where it's
yeah,
hard work.
exactly,
Like it's
exactly,
you
like
don't
I'm
get to
still
just
doing.
yeah. And even myself, even though I got out of that, but doing something I enjoy, it's still fucking hard work.
Yep.
It's still time consuming. It still requires me to be there 40 to 50 hours a week. It's still work. Even
And
though it might not be as physical, but it's still work. No matter what we're doing right now is work. It might not be physical, but it's mental.
ex-
That it's the
exactly.
same thing. You have mental weakness, you have physical weakness. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's still work, no matter what. Some work may be physically easier than others, to where some work may be more physical demanding. Some work may be more mental demanding, and then some work may be less mental. You have to try. You have to show up every fucking day if you want to continue to get a paycheck. Doesn't matter what you do. You have to show up.
Yeah, and I've said this, like I've told Megan this, I've said this to Dad. The worst stress I feel is mental stress. Like if you've done something that you've physically exerted yourself and you're tired or you're sore, that shit will go away within a couple of days. But if you're wearing a heavy stress from your job or your relationships or whatever, I feel like mental fatigue is worse than physical fatigue
Oh, absolutely.
any day of the week.
Absolutely.
So whether your job is physically demanding or mentally demanding, that they're both it's tit for tat. You know what I mean?
Tit for tat.
Like sure
Absolutely.
you can do this job and you're not physically working your body, but your brain is stressed to the max. On the flip side, your brain can be free and not so stressed, but then maybe your body is working a little bit
And then it
and
kind of creeps into the into the mental stress because your body
exactly.
sometimes,
So
same thing with the
yeah,
mental side, gets into the physical. Like maybe I got a backache, and then I feel like they're like you were saying, they go hand in hand.
yeah. Then before
Hey,
you know it, you're on the couch drinking Dr. Peppers, eating hot dogs,
hell
becoming
yeah,
the go.
weekend comes around, baby. We smoking some J, some fucking Pall Malls, and
Well,
fucking
yeah,
got a fifth of whiskey, and like fuck it all, baby. That's
we're
what
goat
happens.
herders after all.
Oh
Fucking
shit. Yes.
So that's going to be it for this episode of C Plus Podcast. Hit that like button.
Make sure you subscribe.
Drop a comment below. Disagree with us, hate on us, or agree
Let
with
us
us,
know.
relate with
Don't
us.
let me, intimidate you by leaving a negative comment by any means. I respect all comments. Besides, I'll keep that to myself. But leave them. We want to know, and we're here to show you that you can do all things.
Yeah, for real, brother, for real. Well, yeah, until next time, stay cool, stay creative, and keep on keeping on, people.
Yes, sir.